So you probably think, well, what does this guy know about what we're doing, who's worked for some of the most progressive jurisdictions in the United States of America? And well, they could be regarded, they are regressive in the economics. So we at COLAB, in addition to being a government watchdog, support traditional values and economic growth and the freedom that economic growth needs, because all these taxes and fees that you're seeing are in part a reaction to restricted economic growth, which in the state of California is a deliberate policy. We are the most regulated, fathered state in the country. We have some of the highest taxes. We have all sorts of state and local fees and restrictions, and they're killing us. And they're killing the economy, and they're one of the reasons there's so much pressure to raise them. Now, for example, here in San Luis Obispo County, the left part of the County Board of Supervisors has bought into the whole climate change thing, hook, line, sinker, sewer, and everything else you can think of, and is changing the whole scheme of land use regulation in the county, changing each of the plan elements, each of the regulations to comport with the climate change philosophy. Right now, as we sit here, you can see it on the planning department website of the county. If you go on there, there's a draft climate action plan. It's called the Climate Action Plan. And buried in that plan, when you want to talk about the role of the government and protecting people's constitutional rights, it includes the idea that the county would have energy auditors that could come to your house and measure how you use electricity and water as a normal operational function of San Luis Obispo County government. And then, on top of that, it includes the idea that if you want to sell your property, you have to have a bigger energy audit, and you will have to retrofit your water system, electrical system, perhaps your windows and other features in order to be able to sell your property. And these are just a couple of the things that are in train out there. So what we want to do is point out that you and everybody need to resist this. You need to challenge your local government officials about this. You need to be seen about it, and so forth. And in the last few years here, right now, we're seeing a huge regulatory scheme on rental property. So if you have a rental property, a vacation rental property that you rent for 30 days or less, the county is considering a whole series of restrictions which would actually bar you from renting it after 7 days. So if you had a visitor or family for 7 days, then you'd have to wait for 7 days before you could re-rent it. That's in effect taking your property rights away for half the year. That was under consideration Thursday by the Planning Commission. Probably most of you here are familiar with the whole water basin issue here in the Paso Robles Basin and the Atascadero Subbasin. And if you live in the unincorporated area, you are screwed, because right now you live in limbo with a whole bunch of rules that really haven't been adopted as law about what you can do if you want to add a bed and breakfast or add some rooms or do other things with your property. The Regional Water Board, there's something called the Central Coast Regional Water Quality Water Board. It's a long acronym. They cover San Luis Obispo County, Santa Barbara County, and Monterey County. And the board is adopting something called the Agricultural Order, which is going to require farmers to treat water from irrigation, which percolates back into the ground or runs off into the ditches, to the quality of drinking water. And this is because of a flea and a lawn shrimp that they have discovered in some places. Now, up in Salinas Valley, There are some nitrate loading problems and so forth. But this law, if it is adopted, and there's a hearing in San Luis Obispo on May 4th, where the board may adopt this water board may adopt this law, will cost agriculture in these 3 counties $250 million. And it doesn't just affect agriculture. Because if you're in any business, trucking, insurance, real estate, banking, environmental support, anything that has to do with agriculture, it's going to affect you. And more than that, if you wear clothes, as the saying goes, and eat food, you're in agriculture, and it's going to affect. Another good example, that was for she asked about the water cutoff from the west side of the San Joaquin Valley that's been so devastating. And that was a state of California Water Department issue and a federal issue over a smelt, a delta smelt, which was getting sucked up in the intakes of the water project. So these things, we work on them at COLAB. We go to the meetings, we attack it, we hire lawyers. We've actually sued San Luis Obispo County once on some of these things. Thank you. But if you roll it all up, you might call it the philosophy of environmentalism. But that's just cover. And as I say, it's bait to trick you. It's really designed to take away and make palatable the idea of taking away your rights. And there are 4 things that are under these efforts. One is to diminish freedom in the name of engineered social equality and subsidized citizenship, and you heard something about that here earlier this afternoon. The second one is to concentrate authority at ever higher levels of government. So take it away from the local that you elect and can talk to on the street here. Take it away from them, send it up to these regional bodies, which aren't accountable to anybody, like the Coastal Commission, the Regional Water Board, the Regional Air Quality Board, and so forth. Send it up to the states, and then take it away from the states themselves, send it to the federal government, and actually at the federal level, you'll find that we are participating in all sorts of international bodies, the Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, the World Congress of Local Governments for a Sustainable Future, and so forth. The third one is the expansion of the role of government and its penetration into ever more parts of your lives, and that's like these energy auditors that are going to come to your house. And then finally, the source of authority moves away from the people and is placed not only in bureaucracies, but in these regional boards and things that are not even part of one of the branches of government. You can't say if it's legislative, judicial, or executive. So in the end, driven by the activism of the left, lured and coerced by environmentalism, suppressed and intimidated by the tyranny of political correctness, and deprived of our deepest traditions and beliefs by value relativism, we are propelled into the ecotopian welfare state. We at COLAB expose the practical side of this, and we expose these deeper underlying canons of the so-called progressive left agenda. All of us should join together, fight these things, talk about it, and bother our government officials. To that end, you can see COLAB on the web at colabslo.org. Thank you very much for your attention.